Hello, hello, my amazing artists. Today we're going to talk about the texture for our dragon eyes. This is going to be a practice day, a play day, where you can practice and learn about texture in clay. And to practice today, we're going to be using our Play-Doh. Love Play-Doh. All right. So to get started, I'm going to just separate it into about 3 different sections. And I want to turn them into spheres, okay? So I can do this by starting in my hands, making them sort of like spheres or balls. And then if I want to make them look even better, I can roll it in my hand, or roll it on the table, or a little bit of both. So I want you to do that to all 3 of your spheres. Here we go. The next thing I want you to do is take 2 of your spheres, all right, 2 of them, and press hard with the palm of your hand, okay? Now, I don't want these too thin, all right? If I make them too thin, I won't have space to press the tools into. So it should be about as thick as a pancake. You're gonna do that to both of your spheres. So now you have a lot of empty space that you can practice your texture on. We're gonna be learning about sculptural things with this ball. So we're gonna use it later, put it to the side. All right, the next thing is you're going to want to look in these texture toolboxes. You can see a bunch of just ordinary objects like paper clips that are kind of bent in a different way, and marker caps and straws. And there's lots of different textures that we can make with just these materials. Also, one of my other favorites, a simple sharp pencil, but not too sharp. All right, let's get started with what's in the bucket. All right, I'm going to get out a paper clip, and if it is folded up like this, you're going to want to move it around a little bit so that you have a shape like this. Something that I can do with this side of the paper clip is I can create straight lines, which is nice because you can always also make the lines go this way too. I can take the bottom end here and I can make little dash line texture. So that's pretty nice. I can take the pokey end of the paper clip and just poke holes in. I can take this end and I can make X's. What are some other textures that you can come up with using this paper clip? If you want to give yourself a good challenge, you can also try making scales this way by pressing in the side. But it's a little tricky technique, and it's something that you have to practice. All right, so we have our paper clip. It's a fan favorite. Like I said earlier, I also like using a sharp pencil because it makes slightly bigger holes. Pretty fun, huh? Let's talk about the other things in the texture bucket. I've got 3 different sets of ways to make circles here. I've got a large marker that can make these kinds of circles. I can have a medium size. I can use this side of the marker or this side, and I can make medium circles. And I'm running out of room, so I'm going to go over to the next cookie. And I can use a straw for tinier circles. What's really fun is if you start to play with the shapes inside of one another. When I press these tools down, you'll see sometimes I give it a little twist that helps the clay come out of the marker cap. So these are some of the ways that you can play with texture on your dragon eye. And I want you to take a moment to just play around with the different textures that you can make. All right, if you don't like something that you've made, you can crumble it up and create another cookie and play around again. I'll give you some time to do this if we press pause on the video now. All right, we're back. We've played around with texture by pressing into clay. Now, what are the things that we can make by sculpting with the clay or the Play-Doh? Something that I really like on my dragon eye, you can see here, I created tiny little balls of clay that stuck out on top of the clay. Let me show you. Take tiny pinches. You'd be surprised how little you need, and make tiny, tiny balls. And you take them and you go tap, 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 and it sticks. You can make some really interesting patterns with this. You can see it here and here. It takes a little bit of time and it takes a little bit of practice, but it's something that really can make your dragon eye look pretty awesome with. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be creating a coil. And a coil is kind of like a worm or a snake in clay. And take a little bit of clay, the size of a marble, all right? And you're gonna roll it around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Next, we're gonna use the palm of our hands to go back and forth, slowly pressing until we make a worm that's about the size of a pencil. Now this takes time, my friends, this takes time. The paperclip tool is also a really good thing for when you want to cut off sections of your coil. Now let me show you the first thing I'm going to do with this. I'm going to make little horns for the side. And I do this by rolling just the one side of the coil in my fingers. If I don't want to do it with my fingers, I can do it on the table, back and forth, back and forth. I don't want to make it too skinny, because if they're too skinny, they will break off of our final project. But this is just a good thing to practice. All right. The next one, I'm going to make this coil just a little bit skinnier. And you make the skinnier coils, you sometimes wind up using your fingertips, and that's okay. You just want to practice making this an even. Now I'm going to take it, I fold it in half. And I'm going to start to wrap and curl, wrap and curl. And this makes somewhat of a spiral shape, twisting shape going up the coil. And I think it looks really cool for different sections, like the eyelid of the dragon, or it could be another horn. This is a really interesting technique. Finally, one other cool thing that you could do on your dragon is you can test and see if you like pinching textures. Pinch, pinch with your finger. And I found that that was really, really fun to do on the inside of my eye here to kind of give it some dimension. I pinched, pinched, pinched. All right, boys and girls, I want you to take the time now to use your tools and use the Play-Doh and just experiment and see what you can create with what you've just learned. All right, have some fun.